All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 18. I am your host, Frantic, along with my co-host, as always,
Grunt.
and we are here to discuss video games and junk.
Indeed.
Emphasis on the junk, because last week I went on like a 30-minute rant about Arrow, and that happens. And we'll get to that. How was your week, Grunt?
Oh, it was pretty good, actually. Spent most of it in Destiny,
I was there.
doing stupid challenges in the level 28 version of Prison of Elders. A lot of them were fun. I enjoyed the swords only one we did last night,
Oh
except for
man,
when it came to the boss. That kind of
yeah,
sucked, but
I briefly forgot about that.
well, I'm glad I could remind you of that and the fun time we had with it.
Yeah, it was rather hilarious. For those of you that don't know, Prison of Elders is still a thing you can do, but it's much lower level than a lot of the stuff in Bungie, or not in Bungie. Why did I say Bungie? In Destiny. And I just figured out why we do the challenges. I just played about an hour ago. I played through it really quick on the lowest level with he who will not be named on this podcast. We'll probably say his name at some point. He and I were playing,
We will.
and we both were using bad jujus, and we went through that thing so fast it wasn't even funny. Uh, we just got infinite supers basically, and I understand now why we make challenges. So our challenge was in that case using swords or sword hilts if you ran out of heavy ammo to just beat the crap out of everything. And it's
Yep.
really hard to beat the final boss that way. You can do it, but it's really hard.
It is, especially when you get the servitor, the fallen servitor that just floats above the ground.
Yep, that was the one we got. We had to jump up and hit him, and then his melee just like does waves of damage to you and pushes you off him. So it
hmm
was really hard, but we did it. We
I
did
was
it.
hoping, I was really hoping my exotic sword would come in a lot more handy at that point, but he's too far off the ground. It doesn't do the massive amounts of damage that it's normally known for, which made me sad.
Yeah, and what I do remember is that we died, what, 10 or 11 times. We didn't wipe at all, but collectively, all of our deaths where we had to keep reviving each other was 10 or 11 total. So it was
Right.
definitely not easy. It
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
was fun, just not easy. And there were other ones we did. I just recently got a thorn, which is a funny story. It was basically I want to get exotics, but I'm tired of waiting on exotic drops and getting the same exotics. Hashtag three backup plans and having none. So
What's that you want? You want more no backup plans?
I got three pin no
Gotcha.
backup plans. So ridiculous out of gauntlets. But anyways, I went and bought primary legacy engrams from Zur this week, which he is selling until Sunday night or Sunday morning at like
Right.
5 a.m. Eastern. I went and bought them. The first one gave me a thorn, which was really funny because it's the thorn. It's not supposed to be easily had. The only way to get it is that through those engrams.
Ah, I'm not going to lie, and I think I told you this last night. I'm a little bitter that you got it out of an engram,
On on the first try, I've never bought a primary legacy engram.
just for the fact of what we had to go through as year one players to get that darn thing.
Yeah, that's what I was told after I got it. So, wanting to buy these engrams, I was just like, man, I really want like, I don't know, a bad juju or a last word or something along those lines, stuff that everyone uses that I really would like. And I bought two more and got the last word and a bad juju. So RNG was really in my favor that day, which was yesterday.
It was just making up for all the
All
no
the
backup plans.
all the freaking backup plans that I kept getting. They made good
Just
infusing material. Not gonna lie.
oh, indeed they do. You just wait until you buy chest engrams and you get like Crest of Alpha for the Hunter or Titan 4 times in a row.
Yep, that's what's gonna happen because I already have the crest for my hunter at 310, and it's awesome. I love that fast revive, but I
It's
imagine
very
I'm gonna
helpful,
keep getting it.
especially in Trials of Osiris.
Interestingly enough, I've gotten all the Titan chess pieces now. Um,
Oh,
Armamentarium and what else was there? The Armamentarium, the Twilight Garrison. I haven't gotten the crest. That's the only one I haven't gotten.
right. I think that's the only three for the chess pieces for the Titan.
Mm. I've gotten the other two. I've been using a lot of not strange coins, three of coins. I had like over 100 strange coins last week. That's why, or this past couple of days, that's why I was able to buy so many primary engrams and still end up with like 50 plus strange coins. Not strange coins, three of coins. If I can talk.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to the Hawk Moon.
Hawk Awesome.
The Hawk Awesome. But yeah, that was pretty much our week because we played Destiny together most of the week. I would say there was barely a time where I was not playing Destiny. If I wasn't playing it, I
Right.
was just watching videos on YouTube.
I mean, that's pretty much all I was doing too. I
Hmm.
mean, so it sounds like our weeks were quite similar,
Very,
where we
very
had
similar.
no idea what we were doing,
I think I
but each
said,
other was doing.
yeah, and I think on the last podcast I said I would probably see Batman versus Superman and talk about it.
But
I did not see it.
oh,
The plans we had kind of
shame on
fell
you.
through. One of our friends who really wanted to see it, or who we really want to be with us to see it because they're a big Batman fan, he was working. He got scheduled to work that night, like last second, so we didn't go. We were talking about possibly going last night and tonight, and then he ends up working both nights. So I probably won't see it until sometime early next week. I've already heard reviews of it, and some of my other friends, I asked them to just tell me no spoilers how it was. And I'm not going to really say too much. I've heard that it's a movie. It's not
It's
the
a
greatest
movie.
thing ever. It's not terrible. It's just kind of here and there.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully I enjoy it. I have very low expectations, which I've been told if you have low expectations, you'll be fine watching it, but that's unfortunate for how big of a name movie this is.
Right.
So that's beside the point. The only other thing I did this week was watch The Flash and Arrow, and of course I have things to say, but I'm just going to be briefly quick about it. The Flash was amazing as always, and Arrow just further made us more mad. Not nearly as mad as what happened on my past couple of spiels, but basically, the best way to put it is the character that everyone's mad at. Her name is Felicity. She's pretty. If it was any other person in the situation, you would imagine that what was said to her would convince her to not be so stupid, but it didn't.
Oh
So
man,
yeah, that's
a
all. That's all I'm
superhero.
gonna say because I'll go on for another 20 minutes on that topic, and I don't want to do that because the stuff we have to talk about today is gonna be very interesting and very cool to talk about, and I don't want to bore people with Arrow talk. If you want to talk to me about Arrow, I will gladly talk on like Twitter or like Twitter direct messages or something like that. Just hit me up there. I'm at Frantic J3. He's at Onyx Spartan ONYX, and then we are at Frantic_talks. If you want to talk to us on Twitter, we got other stuff. We'll talk about that at the end. There's also the blog up on the screen right now just to show you that our last podcast was talking about our 5 favorite video game characters, which was a lot of
Ooh,
fun to put together. And we don't have a top 5, or we don't have another 5 per thing countdown this week. We're discussing what our next one will be. I'm pretty sure we're going to do top 5 personal favorites for soundtracks from video games.
right.
We have lists in the works, so we might get that next week or a week after that. But it's basically going to be something along the lines of when we don't have too much to talk about, it's when we want to do those. If it gets to the point where everyone loves them enough to where we do it every single week, I will definitely like that.
Oh yeah.
So I noticed in the chat right now we have a lot of people here. Oh, it's a couple people. I already said he who will not be named, but he is saying things. Mr. Freak Show is in the chat, and so is Brock. Uh, and he's talking about games of gold.
Yes.
I did
Yes,
not
it
see
is.
that. What was it?
Um, the Wolf Among Us, I want to say, is the first game
That's a good
that
one.
you will get on the Xbox One. And Sunset Overdrive, which I'm actually kind of interested about that one. I wanted to pick it up when it first came out, but money, that
Yeah,
thing.
I remember seeing like previews for that. That was the one where it was like it was really neat art form, kind of not
Right.
like Borderlands, but unique in that sense where it definitely isn't your traditional realism. And it was
Right.
about like a zombie virus spread through energy drinks. Was that what it was?
Yep, exactly.
Exactly what it was? Okay, yeah. So that's gonna be games with gold, like they're free, right?
Yeah, if you have an
Okay.
Xbox Live Gold account, just go to the dashboard. I don't remember exactly how to get to it, um, but it'll be on there. It'll be advertised to go get your games with gold for the month, but you can go and download it for free.
Awesome.
And if you're on the 360, you get the original Borderlands this month or next month. It might be
Nice.
this month. I don't remember.
Brock says for 360 it's Dead Space and Saints Row 4.
All right, thank you, Brock.
There you
So
go, Brock, the
Borderlands,
real
the original
MVP.
Borderlands is right now. If you don't have that, go download it. Fun game.
Yeah, Borderlands is amazing.
I'm pretty interested in Saints Row 4 though. It looks like it might be a fun game.
It's so over the top. One of my friends gave me a good description of the Saints Row games. So the only one I'd ever seen was the first one, and that was
Right.
when they were trying to be like a Grand Theft Auto clone. So after I saw 2, 3, and 4 coming out, and I never really even paid attention to anything related to them, I thought it was they were just trying to have a competitor to Grand Theft Auto. But then my friend explained it to me, and he starts it off by saying, "You ever watch the Fast and the Furious movies?" And I said, "Basically, the first one and the second one. I think I remember a piece of Tokyo Drift, which was the third one. After that, I just did not care." He said, "Well, the thing with Fast and the Furious is they just started getting more and more over the top to the point of where it wasn't about cars racing and stuff like that, and more it was more just about how stupid can we make this, and people will pay money to watch it, and a lot of people watch them because they're just hilarious in terms of what all the action sequences and stuff are."
Right.
So he says that's the exact same thing that not Borderlands, Saints Row did, and it was basically the first one they tried to copy the genre that people were liking, and then just kept moving forward in terms of stupidness. So I picked up Saints Row the Third off of a Humble Bundle and played it with my friend, and it is so stupid. And I don't mean bad. I mean it's really freaking funny. You get like
Right.
superpowers. You can one of the secret weapons you can find is a baseball bat, but it's a dildo, and it's just so stupid. It's really funny. And Saints Row the Fourth, you like start off as the president, and you go in between like different forms of the game, and I mean like 8-bit compared to 3D worlds and all kinds of random crap, from what I understand. So
Definitely gonna have to try that out.
it's just over the top stupid, is what I'm
I
trying to say.
Yeah, I played. I think it was Saints Row 2 a little bit. I can't
Hmm.
remember exactly which one. I think it was Saints Row 2, but it was co-op with Brock, as a matter of fact. He mentioned in the chat even too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Um, but I played a little bit of the co-op with him, and you're right. It's just the stupid fun that people want.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want a game that you can just be really dumb and basically how you would play Grand Theft Auto with cheat codes where you just run around killing stuff, that game's probably more fit for that.
And they will also be backwards compatible for the Xbox One. So you know,
Even better. So yeah, that's Games with Gold. I didn't even have that on the list to talk about, but that's what happens when people participate in the Twitch chat. Catch us live every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you can talk to us as well, or talk to us on Twitter at any point in time. I don't care. But
I mean,
you
both.
could
Why not do
influence
both?
what's on the podcast. You could get your own shout out. All right. So that takes care of the somewhat junk and mostly video games in the title there. We're going to move on to what I have planned, at least what we talked about, what we're going to talk about. It's going to consist of basically three things, unless we figure out something else we want to talk about. The main two are going to be the Bungie update and the Halo Waypoint update, both of which are bringing us very interesting things next month, into the month area. Yes, Freak Show, the weapon that is a giant dildo is called the Penetrator, just so you know.
Thank you for reminding us about that.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about Bungie and Halo Waypoint, and then this interesting video game that we're going to talk about right now, Pokemon Battle Tournament. Pokken is what it's called. Pokken Tournament. This is a fighting game that uses Pokemon, not in the traditional sense of Pokemon battles in each game. It is more so along the lines of the best example I've heard that doesn't actually fit how the game works, but it's like Tekken or Street Fighter essentially. I got a chance to play this past week. My friends who I play Smash Brothers with, if you've heard me talk about that before, they tend to enjoy a lot of the Wii games that come out, and so they picked up Pokken. It was something we were interested in. It didn't come out last week; it came out the week before, but we just got our chance to get our hands on it, and we sat down and played it for a couple hours the other night, and it was pretty interesting, I must say. The roster is currently on the screen, and if you don't know the Pokemon's names, I will go through really quick here. We got Pikachu Libre, which is Pikachu dressed as a Libre fighter from like Mexican wrestling or Spanish wrestling in general. A Machamp, a Lucario, a Gengar, a Gardevoir, a Garchomp, a Charizard, a Shadow Mewtwo, the freaking Lander, Chandelure, that's his name because he's a newer one. I don't know his name. Braxton, which is the one I love. Blaziken, Mewtwo, Pikachu, Weevil, or nope, that's not his name. Yeah, it is. It's Weavile. The newer ones I'm not 100% up to date with. Sceptile and Suicune. So that is the roster, and then there's a giant list of supporting Pokemon, which I will get into in a minute how those work. But how this works is it's just your typical fighting game, and each character has their own style. So like Charizard and Machamp, the bulky guys just punch each other and are really heavy hitters, versus like Pikachu Libre, like the regular Pikachu and him, along with probably Weavile are more lighter but faster. And
Right.
then there's certain characters that are like close quarters, like Gengar. The one I played, which was Breaksin, which is the one I'm pulling up on here. She's like a pyro that has like this torch in her hand, and she just does a lot of ranged attacks. It was really fun to play her because when you do grabs in the game, you grab them and then it does this like couple hit combo that is inescapable. and they all do their own unique thing. And hers was to float you in the air and sing a song while conducting with her fire torch, and then drop you on your head. It was really funny, and it was so odd.
Nice.
But to kind of get into how this game works is essentially, I don't want to say Tekken is a good example of how this works because Tekken, in my mind, is a game where you have to remember all these really long string of combos. Like I've played it before to where you have to press buttons back and forth, alternating a bunch of times to continue your combo to keep going, and there's a lot of in-depth combos in the game. This game is not like that. The best way it is like Tekken is that it's a fighting game where it has a bit of a 3D realm to it where you can kind of sidestep instead of just moving back and forth on a 2D plane. And the interesting thing is it switches from a 3D fighting area to a 2D fighting area once you get close enough and hit a combo. And it's an interesting feature, and they've kind of mashed up a lot of different fighting genres into one here. Overall, I enjoyed playing it, and the combos are what bother me though. Uh, so to give you a little, uh, what's the right word? Context. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. I played one of the last fighting games that I bought, and it's not even really a fighting game. It was Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 Ultimate Tenkaichi or something like that. It was a really long name. And this game was fun to play through because you could finally create your own character in the Dragon Ball Z universe, and you could play through all the storylines. And then it had its own separate storyline that was just made up for your new created character that used a lot of the people that you know in the game as like villains or something. It was kind of cool. But when you tried to do a versus, basically I had my friend over who he and I are really big Dragon Ball Z fans, and he and I fought each other. And the thing is, it was pretty much a 50-50 shot of who would win. And it's not a matter of skill, it's basically you could start a combo and then you press either X or Y on the game controller. If I press X and he presses Y, I win. If he presses X and I press X, he wins and he stops the combo. And the problem was is that if you didn't guess right, you lost like a third of your health. So you do that 3 times and you just make sure they don't guess the right one, well then you win. And it was really dumb. So we didn't really enjoy playing against each other in that game. In this game, I'm not going to say it's similar, but there is a rock paper scissors formula to it. There's blocking, there's grabbing, and then there's attacking, like basic punches. And each one beats the other one. So block is defeated by a grab is defeated by and an attack is defeated by a block. And that's kind of like the triangle of how it works. And then there's other things like super super moves and stuff where you have like ranged attacks where you can shoot stuff at them. And there's more than just these three little attacks here. But for the most part, that's how it worked, and you had to just try to read how they were going to attack you. And it was more than a 50-50, obviously. You have a couple of options to do there. But I think my problem with it was the fact that as long as you guessed right, you could get the upper hand on them and deal like half. Like if you're using Charizard and you block their one thing and then you hit them, you take half their freaking life away. So I think I had a little bit of an issue with that, but it's definitely not a bad game. It was just it felt to me like it was a very simple fighter that didn't have very much of a learning curve from the worst players to the best players.
Right. That's what I think will make it popular though, is it's easy to pick up and play.
That's true. I jumped in. They were doing like tutorials and had already fought a couple times. I showed up a little late to the gathering where they were playing this, and I hopped into it. I lost my first round and won the second round. I mean, it was pretty quick and easy to figure out. There was a couple of buttons I had to push together to do things, and that was about it.
Right.
So,
Because that's the really the only fighting game I had played was the new uh, reimagination of Killer Instinct. I don't think the original. It's basically Killer Instinct is like a remastered version of an old arcade game, I believe.
mhm.
Um, Freak Show, if you're in the chat, you should totally correct me on this because you know more about it than I do.
I think he's still there.
He got me to play it.
Hmm.
But it's that was the last fighting game I played, and it was like more so similar to the Tekken, where you basically just mash buttons until you get the hang of the combo.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would definitely like something that is more easier to pick up and learn.
Hmm.
Where you don't necessarily have to learn the combos
Yeah, like I
unless
said,
you.
there wasn't much of a combo. There's supposedly with Shadow Mewtwo, he's the only unlockable character in the game. Like everyone else is unlocked by default. You have to unlock him. Supposedly, like while we were playing this, I browsed the subreddit just to see what people were saying about it, get some ideas on if there are tactics to it.
That's
Suppose
cheating.
I was just trying to get the upper hand on my friends, but as I'm sure they were doing the same thing at the same time. But Shadow Mewtwo apparently has like an infinite jab combo. Well, he has like a combo where if you do something specific, you can infinitely hit them and they can't respond. So he's the only one that's broken in that sense. Everyone else seems to have their own ups and downs. Like I said, the character I played was this fire fairy thing that has a wand that's a torch. Uh, that she just throws the torch at you from like she's a ranged specialist. So I'm sitting back as far away from I can, just chucking this torch and shooting fireballs until they get close to me. I'll block and back up and start throwing crap at them. That was the strategy I used, and it worked for the most part. But yeah,
Oh man, you shouldn't have told the internet that they're gonna use that strategy now.
I'm sure someone already was using it. Like this was the week after we were playing it. I'm sure someone figured that out already.
Well, all right, fine.
But yeah, Freak Show
Killer.
mentions 91 hit combos in Killer Instinct, which I saw him get a 91 hit combo on you.
It was my first game of Killer Instinct. Okay.
Yeah, he went easy on you. I see that.
Oh yeah, he was trying his hardest to get the 100 hit combo, but messed up and missed hitting me for another time when my character was on the way down to the ground. He hit the wrong button or something. I don't know what, but he missed hitting me back up into the air to continue the combo.
Oh, that's
Otherwise,
unfortunate.
it would have been a 100 hit combo.
Is there like an achievement for that or something?
I have no idea,
Uh,
other than the fact that he gets to have personal bragging rights over me that he got almost 100 hit combo on me.
right, I get what you're saying. So,
It was hilarious to watch, though. I mean, I'm helpless. I can't do anything while he's hitting me. I just
yeah.
watch my character get pulverized.
So the only thing I haven't discussed yet on this was in terms of actual 91 hit combos. In this game, one of the characters, I don't remember who it was, but in this game, when you grabbed somebody and did their grab maneuver, it was a 50 hit combo and it took out like a third of your health. Yet later on, if you do like a 3 hit combo with like jabs, it takes the same amount. So I don't quite understand what the purpose of a 50 hit combo is that isn't actually doing that much damage. Or
uh,
why it's done through just a grab and not doing any other button pushing. That was a little
yeah.
confusing to me, but overall I enjoyed it. I mean, I probably will end up playing it again sometime soon in the future because we hang out pretty often, me and my friends, obviously. Uh, so we'll see what happens there. The only other thing, like I said, I hadn't discussed was these support Pokemon down here. There's there's a lot of them, and I don't remember all these names because there's a lot of the newer generation ones I don't know. Most of them I could tell you, and I don't feel like clicking into each one of them. But there are combos like Cubone and Diglett, Umbreon and Espeon. Let's see here, Eevee and the blue starter from the latest generation. I actually don't remember his name. It evolves into Greninja. That's what I do know. Lapras and Snivy, uh, Umolga and the fire one from I think the latest generation. I don't remember its name. There's a Ninetales and a Miss Magus, Electrode, Farfetch. There's a good amount of combos in here. And what these guys do are you charge them while you're fighting, and it's a best of three fighting. So you like a lot of fighting games, you just have 3 rounds in the game instead of just who defeats the first person, and they
Right.
charge while you're going. Froakie, thank you, Brock. Froakie and Eevee is one of the combos. Um, it's you charge them up and then you use them and they do certain things in the game. So for instance, Snivy does a leaf tornado, so you'll throw Snivy at him in a quick leaf tornado to deal some damage to try to get him off the guard so you can attack again. And you can only use that roughly once, maybe twice, depending on their charge rate each round. And then Lapras takes a while to charge because she does Surf, which covers like the whole frickin' field and it's really hard to dodge. Versus Eevee, who just slowly recharges your health and boosts your attack, and you charge these as you go. So there are little additions that you can pick at the beginning where you can say, I want this team, and I can choose between them each round to swap out. So like both of them charge while you're playing. So say my first round I had Snivy. I used Leaf Tornado that round. Next round Lapras is fully charged, so I switch to Lapras, shoot that out. Next round I switch back to Snivy because he'll be full charged and throw it out. It's basically that type of stuff. And then
Hmm.
the fire starter is Finnegan, by the way. That is also an option with Umolga, which is the flying electric squirrel. Words I never thought I would say in one sentence.
Hey, it's amazing what you say when you're talking about games.
Yeah, that's true. Freak Show just listed a fun fact about Cubone, which I knew, but I'm sure many of you may not have known. Cubone wears the skull of its dead mother. That is actually true.
That's interesting.
Kind of terrifying, but it's actually
Cubone,
true.
you're a little morbid, but hey,
Oh, one of the other
I'm
scary
not judging.
ones. There's really Drifloon and Driftblim, which are ghost Pokemon that look like kind of like hot air balloons, essentially.
Hmm.
They, in their Pokédex entries, supposedly they drag children into the underworld. Isn't that dark?
That's way more dark than what I thought Pokemon could ever go.
Yeah, that's in one of the
Wow.
first Pokédex entries of them in the earlier games. Like they're like these little balloons with like little strings coming off the side of them, and supposedly they use those to lure children to grab them, and then they just take them away and kidnap them into the underworld. It's so fucking dark.
Wow. That is.
That's one of my favorite ones. That's just so freaking messed up. There are other great theories that I could go on for hours about. And honestly, most of them I learned from Did You Know Gaming on YouTube. So if you head over there, they have a lot of Pokemon videos where they use Pokemon, like Pokemon in science, where they've been applied, and just a bunch of other great stories of hilarious and also interesting facts. Like Gengar is the shadow of Clefable, if you didn't know that. Uh,
Oh, man.
yep, there's a lot of them. So well, that's pretty much it for Pokken. Like I said, it's a very interesting game. Oh, Magneton and Quagsire. Magneton's one of my favorite. I just didn't see him on the screen because my face was covering it up on my screen. Magneton and Quagsire are another group. But anyways, it's a very fun game. It definitely takes Pokemon into account and has some fun stuff. The only thing that is really weird is how a lot of the Pokemon talk. They're just like they make weird grunt sounds, like, unless except Pikachu. Pikachu just makes his normal Pika crap that you know from the TV and all that. All the other ones make really fucking weird sounds. Like Garchomp is just so freaking weird. Like I really like Garchomp, and then I played him and he's just grunting in these weird freaking tones that we all just kind of looked at each other like, what is this dude saying? And why doesn't he just say his name like every other Pokemon? You just gotta go. Hell.
Because it's more fun to make weird noises when you're doing stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it was odd.
Says the person that. Hmm.
Anyways, like I said, if you like fighting games, more I would say this one's more simple, and it is themed in Pokemon. So if you enjoy Pokemon, it's definitely worth a grab. I looked up some reviews of it. It got overall pretty positive reviews from a lot of the big name places. So if you're interested in playing it, check out some gameplay videos. The graphics look pretty great. It runs pretty smooth. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Sounds like it'll be a good game for parties or when you're having friends over
Hmm.
and you don't know what to do.
And
Just throw down a Pokken tournament.
that's what the
Bam.
Wii kind of is. I've always thought. I mean, there are plenty of games on the Wii that are not
All right.
meant for parties, like Legend of Zelda or
Right.
Mario even. But games like Super Smash Brothers, like Pokken, like there's a WarioWare, Nintendo Land. A lot of those games that are meant for big groups of people are a lot of fun when you get the chance. So this is definitely one of those, I would think. And if you don't have it already, pick up Smash Bros. Smash Bros is a lot of fun. Okay, so we're gonna take this point and take it a different direction. The Halo Waypoint update that I'm at the very bottom of. Silly me. Go to the top of the page. Thank you.
Totally not the direction I thought we were going in.
Oh, well, too bad.
I mean,
I figured we'd save the big one for last, unless you wanted to talk about the Bungie update now.
nah, save it for last because there's quite a bit to cover there.
Yes, there is. That's what I figured. So there's a lot to cover in this update too, not to take away from it. Um, they're just showing us a lot of the community-made maps that are going to be coming into playlists, mainly Big Team Battle and Griffball. Actually, I think those are the only two that they're coming into. And
Right.
they reveal some of the new Rec Pack stuff. So let's just hop into it. They did discuss who won the championship, which was CLG. I don't know what that stands for, but I know they won it.
Counter Logic Gaming, I want to say.
Gotcha.
I think.
And
I'm
they
not sure.
won. What was it
All
like?
I know is after they won, they were really, really hated on by the community.
What
So
for? Is there any specific reason that you know of?
I don't know. I didn't bother to look. I figured it was probably some stupid. This team is the better team than this team. I don't like them kind of thing. There could be a very legitimate reason behind it, but I don't know.
So, yeah, so it could be something along the lines of they're just always good. They want
Yeah,
someone else in the limelight. I get that.
right. Or they actually are a bunch of dirtbags that really didn't deserve to win, for all I know.
I mean, they could just be complete absolute douchebags who win games. People like that exist. I believe it. So,
Oh, yeah,
anyways,
definitely.
congrats to them. Even if you don't like them, they won. It's like the Patriots winning 5 Super Bowls. No one wants them to, except Patriots fans. So yeah. So we're gonna move into this. They talk about the Ghost of Meridian update. That's the next one that's coming out. Is it coming out in March or is it?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about it
I'm
in
pretty
terms of when it will release.
pretty sure it's
I'm
supposed to be the March update.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say no. It's going to be April because March ends on like what, 3, 4 days?
I don't
About
think we're that.
five,
I was about to say I think we're a little further out.
about
Yeah.
five,
So
closer to
next
4.
next Friday is April 1st, I think.
Well, fun.
Seems about right. Oh, okay. Freak Show says CLG is hated because they were shit talking the other team on a stream. He thinks.
That sounds about right, but I
I mean,
mean,
that's a legitimate reason to hate somebody. I think.
yeah.
Well,
I
hate's a
mean, it's
strong
also
word.
not
Dislike.
uncommon for players playing at that level of competitiveness. The whole ego thing gets in the way, and
Hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm not
definitely understand
surprised,
that.
but
So, anyways, we're going to get into the Ghost of Meridian Rex that they have already previewed. The very first picture you see before it actually gets into the big picture where they start spoiling stuff is a mantis with a new skin. This skin is called Hannibal. It is, I'd say it's like a sky blue, light brown, maybe tan. I don't know what the best color would be there, with gray. So it's like this weird. I don't know how to describe that potentially, but I would
I
say like
I don't know either.
it's like
It's a
outdoorsy kind
mashup
of.
of weird colors. Maybe.
I mean, they complement each other. The colors do. It just is
Oh yeah,
it's a color scheme you don't normally see.
right.
And they are releasing two more sets of armor: the Dynast armor and the Mark V Alpha Reflex set. More Mark V armor that just looks kind of odd. Doesn't really look like Mark V in my mind, but what do I
I don't
know?
know. The Dynast armor looks weird to me too.
Yeah, I must say that ever since 343 took over Halo, I've never cared for any of the armor they released. There's never been one where I've sat there and said, I want that one.
Right.
The armor from Halo 3 where you were able to customize each bit was every single one of them was memorable in my mind. They were all really awesome. And now we just
Right.
have an oversaturation of it that is really weird looking. That I truly have not cared for it.
Yeah. Or in the case of Halo 5, you have one variant, but you have one type, but then you have like 5, 6 different variants of it that have just different paint schemes on it.
Right. I mean, in Halo Reach, there were helmets where you could get like three different variants of it. But if you bought the helmet, all you had to do was buy a smaller, a cheaper version of that helmet's variation. So
Yeah,
like,
it was like 5,000 CR, I think, for the most expensive one.
yeah, and then like the
So
add-ons were like I remember buying the EOD helmet because I love my EOD helmet for like 2,500 or something like that, and then to finish the rest of it out, I only had to pay another 2,500 more, and so I could have
right,
every piece of it that any version of it I wanted. I wanted the normal version. I didn't want anything else, but
right,
that's what it was. And then like the more iconic armor was really expensive, but it seems now it's just you have to unlock every different variation where the paint scheme's different, which just is really odd to me.
right.
But I
And
guess
I
that's
went
how they
on
feed
about
their
that.
rec packs, huh?
Yeah, I went on a small rant about that a while ago. I think it was even in one of our blog posts about how rewards need to be less randomized, and that stuff needs to be gameplay elements.
Yeah, I think I remember that. We were revisiting RNG because I had wrote an article that was talking about how RNG was great, but
And it is to some extent, but it shouldn't be involved in reward systems, if you ask me.
yeah.
At least not to where you could get something, you could not get something.
Hmm. And
So,
just so you know, if you're listening to this and you hear this term RNG thrown around, which I was in this boat at one point, RNG just is random number generator, and it's what everyone uses to say, uh, random like rewards and stuff like that, because it's the same
randomized
idea.
loot.
Yeah, it's just randomized loop, but they use RNG because it's just a more universally accepted way of saying it. So the more you know. But anyways, there's a new Warzone map, Skirmish at Dark Star. I think they showed that off a little bit in the last stream. Yes.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
That's
So,
okay. I didn't either. I feel like they've started showing off a little bit of it. We've known about it since they announced this update. We just haven't really
right.
seen anything from it, unless it was in that stream, which I did not catch. Uh, there's going to be a new gravity hammer that you can get, which is legendary. It is Tartarus's gavel. If you played Halo 2, Tartarus was the final boss that you fought, and his hammer was not at all looking like that, but it was where
Oh
the
no.
grav hammer originated.
Tartarus was a jerk.
You know how many times me and my friend who got me into Halo, he and I used to really just sit down and see who could kill him the fastest with an energy sword because we just didn't have anything better to do. Also, it's really hard to kill him with an energy sword. You have to wait for the shield to go down and then hope he doesn't turn around and smash you.
Oh yeah, because even on like easy difficulty, he was still a one-hit kill against you.
Yeah, yeah. It was a tough fight, but we memorized like every part of it.
Playing Halo 2 for it'd be what 12 years now,
Yeah,
because it came out in 2004. You would easily know that. I bet you could go back now and still remember all that stuff.
oh, absolutely. I can still speed run the first half of the game on normal, not legendary, on normal.
Ah, come on, where's the fun in normal? I have,
uh, personal
I,
satisfaction.
to be fair, I have yet to beat the first level of the game on legendary, so yeah, I have no room to talk about that.
I tried doing it with a friend, and it's hard. Halo 2 Legendary is very unforgiving. It is
It
not
is.
fun.
It definitely is. Yeah.
It is rough. Anyways, back into these rec packs. Oh, excuse me. There is a good amount of stuff that they aren't showing us yet, like normal. From what I've seen, it looks like there's a couple more weapon skins that are what we're going to be getting, which I figure is normal at this point. It shows the Hannibal Mantis and the Hannibal Scorpion, the color scheme we mentioned not too long ago. Those are the only two that are getting that color scheme.
I would imagine that the warthogs and mongooses, other human vehicles, would get them too.
See, that's what I thought. But when I look at the overarching image here, it doesn't look like they're going to be giving it to us just yet. So they
Mm,
might be saving that for later. Uh,
interesting.
but then there's the Dynast armor, which is just uncommon, and then the Mark V that was mentioned earlier is legendary. And then the last thing they have previewed us so far is the Steak-tacular emblem, which is just a hand holding a fork with what looks to be probably a plate behind it.
It
Not
is.
sure. Okay, I thought it was. So
Uh,
those are all coming. We'll see more of that by next week, I imagine.
the stick tac. It's actually the emblem is based off of the stick-tacular medal you could earn in Halo 3.
I remember that medal. I forget how you get it, but I remember it.
In a game of Slayer, you beat a team by 20, I think it was 20 or more kills. So in a game of 50, you had to keep the other team below 30 kills.
Hmm.
So and then you earn the stick-tacular medal. And
Okay.
one point during one of the last few years of Halo 3's top lifespan before I think it was Halo Reach came out
Hmm.
or ODST or whatever, they transitioned from one game to the other basically. Bungie did a Bungie versus the World challenge, and if you they put their studio's best Halo 3 players up against um, the entire Halo 3 player base in a playlist,
Hmm.
and if you got matched up against them and you beat them, they actually sent you steaks. They sent every person on the team that beat them a steak.
That's hilarious.
It was. I don't know how many. I can't remember how many they handed out that year, but it was actually interesting to watch.
That's really funny. I'm glad they did that.
Oh yeah,
So, yep, that's what we can see now. I remember the Link-tacular medal.
yep.
Uh,
Have an
every
entire lobby full
the
of.
seventh columns in the gamer tags. Well, not the emblem itself, but they had to have all made an account on Bungie.net, I believe,
Yep,
and
they
then
had to have
connected
their
their username.
Bungie Net username and gamer tag linked.
Hmm. Got a couple of those. Not too many, but a couple.
Oh yeah, it was always fun going through and seeing who had their little seventh column emblem displayed and oh god, I lost my train of thought now. Seeing if I recognize any of the people from their forums because I've been on there a really long time.
Long enough to be asked if you're an employee,
God,
which happens more often than you guys would think.
and it shouldn't really,
No, it shouldn't. He
but
has a emblem in Destiny that is, I mean, you can describe it, but it's basically just for being on the forums for 10 years.
right. Like a year before Destiny actually came out, they redesigned their website from as what we refer to it as Bungie.old, and the new version is Bungie.next.
Hmm.
Um, Fancy little play on words, but whatever. Uh, Basically, on the old version of the site, their forums they had member titles that you could get. It was like an automated system. You didn't have to reach a certain post limit or anything. People figured out how a general how they generally worked, so you could work your way towards one.
Hmm.
But the highest you could reach without becoming moderator or an employee was the Mythic member title, and for that you had to be on the forums for 4+ years, and you had to not have been banned or warned because it was basically their way of rewarding good behavior
Mm.
for either 2 or 3 years. I think it was three. Basically, you were like a really well known and regular community member. Um, if you were a new member, you were supposed to kind of look up to these people and all that, blah blah blah, because they were the old farts of the site,
The pillars of the community.
pillars of
Better
the
statement.
community. Yeah, well, it's actually a good way of putting it. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Um, and when, like I said, a year before Destiny came out, they changed their site to what it looks something similar to what it looks now, and
Hmm.
they did away with those titles. Um, and if you reach one of these titles, they had one for the heroic member, the legendary member, and the mythic member titles. If
Hmm.
you reach one of those, you got that emblem as like a legacy, a Bungie Net legacy emblem. And I've been wearing my mythic member ever since I first got Destiny because I worked for that emblem in a roundabout way. And it's one of the few things I can say that people will not ever be able to get in the game. So I'm pretty proud of it.
That would be why I would wear either an emblem or a piece of armor or something like that.
Right? I
It's
mean,
like very few have it, or it's much harder to get than other emblems, you know?
right. Well, even when the game came out and they were giving out these emblems to the people, a lot of people that were supposed to get them didn't because they
Ooh.
had a database error and they couldn't get that information back somehow. I don't know. Databases are tricky, I imagine,
Oh yeah,
without breaking everything. Um,
especially one of their size.
but there is a lot fewer people that actually have them than who should have them. So
That's unfortunate.
we are an elite member of the community.
Oh well,
But see,
good
that
for you.
attitude there is why they probably did away with him because it inspired a group of elitism in the community. So,
Pretty hard not to inspire elitism in anything. Well, I
yeah,
guess inspire is not the right word. It's pretty hard for elitism not to exist
right,
in anything you do ever.
right.
Because it's
And
unfortunate, sad truth.
yeah, and every now and then I have someone that I'm playing against. Mainly it happens in the Crucible that sends me a message, "Are you a Bungie employee?" Or that happens. That doesn't happen so often. Maybe once every few months. But the most common one I get is, "How did you get the emblem?" And then I went from explaining in detail, like I just did, about how to get the emblem or how you got the emblem, to basically just saying, "I know life the forums."
I know life the form.
I mean, it's
Slow way to
true.
put it.
This Tuesday I'll have been there for 9 years. That's easily a third of my life.
See, I tweeted at you earlier today. Like I tried to hop onto the forums just to see what other people were saying because like the Destiny subreddit has information I like, but I figured yeah I'll try and get other information and try to just see what other people are saying that aren't on Reddit, and it was just I clicked on I think 5 different posts, and it was basically I went into like the class sections to see what people were saying about classes. I went into like the balance forums where it was like what needs balanced,
Right? Yeah.
and then I think all other rants and stuff like that. There was another one where it was just like all other stuff, and someone was talking about how on stream they were saying something about checkpoints in the new Prison of Elders, and then they redacted that statement, and people were just up in fire, pissed about it. And I'm just sitting there
That's
thinking, like, what's the big deal? Maybe they were just basically saying in the stream they said, yeah, we'll definitely have checkpoints, and they dedicated a good amount of time to the stream to saying we'll have checkpoints, and then they just came out and said, no, we're not going to have checkpoints, and they got really upset. Like everybody got upset that that happened, which I guess I get that, but the amount of hatred and retaliation was just absurd.
that's the Bungie community. Well, I'm sorry, that's not the Bungie community. That is the side. That is the Destiny side of the Bungie community on their website. It's pretty toxic, I have to admit. That's why I like to differentiate between the Bungie community, which are people like me that understand this is a company. They're
Mm-hmm.
people too. They actually do care about their community members, even though it doesn't seem like it at times. No new content. Why? Um, but the Destiny community thinks they are so entitled, as with most people, most gamers, you know. So it's something I could get into, but
I mean, I was gonna bring up something really fast, and we can get back to this Halo Waypoint update. In the Magic community, something just happened recently that people got. The response that the people had just made no sense to me. So there's this guy named Mark Rosewater. He is the lead designer of basically everything Magic at this point, and he has this blog on Tumblr where you just ask him questions and he'll answer them, assuming that it's a question he either hasn't answered or isn't just derogatory. And there's this group called the Gatewatch in Magic, which is some of the biggest planeswalkers who signed an oath to try and stop the evil Eldrazi menaces that are attacking the current plane they were in. Or in other words, in layman's terms, it's a Justice League to stop Cthulhu monsters. That's the best way I can see it to put it. I shit you not, that's what it is. And so the main guy of the Gatewatch is Jace Bellerin. That's his name. So someone came up with the idea of calling it the Justice League instead of the Justice League because he's the guy who thought of putting them all together.
that's never going to end well.
And so people were asking Mark Rosewater on his Tumblr a bunch of questions, and he eventually came out and someone asked, can we call him the Justice League? And he kind of harshly said, just no, like no, you don't do that. And then people got up in arms about it, like really fucking mad, like, you know what, fuck you, Mark Rosewater, and started like posting pictures of Justice League memes and all this crap on the Magic subreddit. And then someone asked him a question. It was like, well, why can't we have this nickname, but we can nickname other cards? Like, there's a card called the Dark Confident that everyone nicknamed Bob because it was drawn. The art was based off of a guy named Bob who won a tournament, and he got to design a card, and that was his card. So everyone calls it Bob. And then there's this character named Liliana who's had multiple cards, but a lot of people call her Lily for short. So he was like, why can't we have all these pet names? And Mark Rosewater he rescinds this great response that sums up the entire situation in the best way possible. He says, "You don't see all the questions I get. I meant don't use that name in a very mean way to where you're insulting the work that we have done. Or in other words, stop comparing it to the Justice League and saying we weren't creative." Is pretty much how I read it. And so he goes on this like 3 or 4 paragraph rant about it. Like, I don't care if you use that name in a good way. Like, oh, I like the Justice League. They're a pretty cool group. I don't care if you do that. I don't like when you're going to sit there and say, hey, who's the Superman of the Justice League? Because you're just comparing our work to someone else's work in a derogatory manner. And
Right.
so well, a lot of it was basically that split the Reddit in half, or the subreddit in half. It was people who were like, yeah, that's a pretty reasonable response to a guy who probably gets a bunch of hate messages a lot of the times of the day, to people who are like, no, fuck you, I'm going to use whatever I want whenever I want, because for some reason that matters. So to your point of that's the Destiny community, I think truly every community has people who just for some reason somehow feel entitled to whatever it is. In this
Oh, right.
case, a nickname that he got upset about because someone used it in a mean manner
Right.
versus entitlement to checkpoints in the Prison of Elders. I mean, it could be anything, and I think it exists everywhere, and it's really dumb that
Yeah,
people
it
get so
definitely.
entitled about this, but
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's everywhere. It's not just in one community or the other. It's everywhere.
yeah. So that was But that
But
happened this past week, and you talking about how they felt entitled and were like blowing up, and me seeing them blow up for really no reason just made me think of that. So,
yeah, my word of advice: um, avoid the Destiny forums. I think, yeah, it's the game form of the it's game form. It's the developers forum for the game that they created, but that I think Reddit is probably nicer in that aspect. So
for the most part, I would think so. All the stuff I've seen, there are some people who are just like, yeah, I want this to happen, I want this to happen, but they don't get like pissed off about it, from what I've seen,
right,
which is very
and
out of character for Reddit. Not gonna
yeah,
lie.
and avoid the flood. And by the flood, I just realized after I sent that tweet to you that the flood is the old, going back to the been there 9 years plus thing.
Hmm.
9 years actually plus. I wow. The flood is the old name for the off-topic section. The off-topic section is a very scary place.
I can't imagine
Very
what
scary.
could be there. But anyways, we're gonna hop back on the Halo bandwagon really quick. There's not too much else to talk about. That's why I was totally fine with that sidebar. Basically, they go on to show us Tartarus's gavel, and it looks like his one where it was like kind of like taped together a lot. I don't know if
Right.
every grav hammer looks like that, but Uh,
Uh,
the tape is very reminiscent of his Halo 2 one.
yeah, I don't think they look like that. I mean, I could be wrong. I can't say I paid attention. Whenever I use a hammer, I'm normally waiting at a respawn screen after spawning, so
Can't imagine why. Um,
don't
uh,
know
it,
why
it-
either.
I know you can't see this if you're only listening to audio only. The grab hammer head is like a orange with black stripes and gold lining, and then there's white tape connecting the handle and the head together, basically. Moving on to the Hannibal Scorpion, they just show you a bigger version of that light blue, light brown, gray, along with the Hannibal Mantis, which was shown last week, when, or not last week, the week before on our podcast, but you can see it again here. And then it shows off the Dinosaur armor front and back, which looks, again, just kind of odd and looks bulky to me, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's like really smooth, but really bulky. And then shows the emblem off, the Steaktacular emblem a lot closer. It's the plate with the hand and a fork. And then we get into the big team battle and Griffball Forge maps. And there's a video you can watch. It's a trailer that I think goes through and shows off a lot of the maps here. Uh, to start off, the big team battle maps that are coming, there's the Sand Trap remake, which I think we showed on here before, but it's
I think it was
perfect.
like one of their community spotlight maps,
Hmm.
and they're just now adding it into matchmaking.
Yeah, as they probably had to do some testing on it or something to make sure all the spawns and weapons and stuff worked properly in terms of where they spawn, timing, and all that.
Right.
And then there is this one called Boulevard, which is very reminiscent of Halo 3 ODST, which I'm sure Grunt will enjoy very much.
Well, it's a firefight map though. It's going to be weird as a big team battle map, I think. But
We'll see how it goes. I mean, it's not going to be a complete remake, I'd imagine, but
oh
they
yeah,
might reimagine it, maybe.
it's yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Is it's a reimagination of it. It's
Hmm.
probably like the since you can do so much with Forge, it's probably that entire area by that um, section that you fight in for the firefight map. Which, if you look at it from like an overhead perspective, or just if you remember the area of where Boulevard is, it was a
Hmm.
fairly large area. So
Yeah. Oh, crap. That's something on my hand. um, so yeah, it's hard to describe these maps off based off of screenshots. So I'm probably just going to go through them really quick. For anyone listening, you can check the video or the Waypoint update by going to halowaypoint.com or checking out our video on our YouTube channel, which doesn't have a URL, but I will link it in the podcast post on franktalks.com. But it has a URL, just not one that you'll remember, is what I'm trying to say, because it's a bunch of random numbers and letters.
I'd
Uh,
remember that.
we can give it a
No, I
shot.
wouldn't.
I mean,
No, who am I kidding? I wouldn't remember that.
so the next one is Eagle Square. Again, hard to describe. It's like a half. Imagine like the how do I put this? It's nature mixed with man-made structures in Halo. I don't really know how to describe that any better, but there's rocks, grass, and then there's like kind of like structures there. It's not like overgrown where they're being overtaken by the nature. It just looks like it's been built into it. So that's the best way I can put it. It's a pretty decent sized looking map. Um,
It's a
Next
nice
one,
looking map so far.
yeah, it does look really nice in the picture. I can definitely say that. After that, there's this one called Fracture. It's very heavy on the vehicles, from what the description says. There's a mantis in the middle shooting something in the screenshot. Uh,
Oh lord.
it's a ice map. Like it's in
Uh,
snow. I
Tundra,
can't words right now. Yeah, it's in a
Tundra.
tundra, and there's a base kind of
I
like built into the ice walls,
I
basically.
also think that's the name of the base map it's on. Is Tundra,
That seems about right.
or I might be thinking of a Halo 4 map too. I don't know, but it's a Tundra either way.
Hmm. And then there's one called Scavenger that honestly it reminds me of Burial Mounds from Halo 2, but it definitely isn't Burial Mounds.
That's why it looked familiar.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything in the description about being inspired by that, but that's what it reminds me of.
Interesting.
And then there is the Valhalla remake called Viking. So Halo 3's Valhalla
That
will be coming to Big Team Battle.
Viking. That's it.
Yeah, just called Viking, not
I mean,
Halballa or something like that.
well, yeah, it needs something behind it. Viking is just
Ooh,
blah.
like
Viking.
a intimidating Viking.
Well, most Vikings probably were intimidating. Yeah.
I think Valhalla's Viking would have been good.
Yeah.
And then on to Griffball Courts. Sad to say that the one that you and Freak Show designed that I had a hand in helping with did not make it into the list. And it's kind of odd that it didn't because some of the other ones on here are very questionable in my mind. But anyways, First one we get to see is one called Blood Sport that reminds me of the Halo 3 Sand Trap one that was called Mayan.
Or
That,
Chichen Itza. It was
yeah,
matchmaking version I think was called Mayan, but everyone knew it as Chichen Itza. Ah,
I don't
uh-uh.
know why it was called that, but yeah, it's got like there's like ramps on the left and right, and then there's like spots behind the ramps that you can fall into. So that's not even fun, but it's a
Nope.
map now. And
But yeah,
then
yeah,
after that, there's this one. This one's actually my favorite. It's called Blue versus Red 2003, and it's a court that is it was on top of the Blood Gulch map. So there's just a clear glass under you, so you can see the Blood Gulch map below you as you're fighting in Griffball. And then it's got the red team helmets up in the sky, and I'm going to assume the blue team on the helmets in the sky behind where we're looking, which are
yeah, it
behind like the
does.
red and blue sides.
Yeah, because Cabooses, most of the other Freak Show and I looked at this map, and it was a neat looking map, but um, we had our own issues with it.
Yeah.
Um, but Cabooses, all of the other characters are looking onto the court or at the court. Caboose is being typical Caboose, and he's looking off to the left.
Oh, of
So
course. So yeah, I
yeah,
this is my favorite. Just looking at them, I have yet to play on any of these. I just like that you're playing on top of the Blood Gulch, which red versus blue is where Griffball comes from. So I think that's
right.
cool and flavorful.
Yeah, that is very cool. I think I like the fact that you are playing over Blood Gulch. That's cool.
Hmm.
Just don't get too distracted by the scenery.
Right. Try not to. And then the next one is called Crow's Court. It's very dark and it kind of reminds me of like Rat's Nest a little bit, but it's just a really dark map inside. Looks like they're in like some sort of arena type thing. Not much to say about
It's
it.
it's actually a sort of reimagination slash replica of the end part of the Crow's Nest Halo 3 map.
Oh, okay.
Halo 3 level, I mean, not map. So you're close with Rat's Nest.
Gotcha. Cool, cool, cool. And then the next one is called Griff Temple. Uh, it's got this more like Asian influence from what you would imagine in terms of like the best way I can put it is like the Mists of Pandaria update for World of Warcraft. It's got a lot of that theming. It's just Asian culture in terms of the drop, the not the backdrop, like the building shapes. Uh,
Right.
I want to say kind of like a dojo, but not necessarily like that. So it looks pretty cool. Uh,
I played on it for like 5 minutes.
yeah, there you go.
That's a different story. I'm not going to get into here.
Gotcha. Next one's Frontier. It just kind of looks like a standard map, to be honest. Nothing too special about it, but
Is that the one that has? I don't have the update in front of me, so you'll have to kind of guide me here. But is it the one based on sand? It's sand and all that.
doesn't look like it. It looks like it's all like UNSC structures.
All right. Well, I was off.
Yeah, a blue an Alone Oni research station is the description.
Oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Whoops, my bad.
And then High Charity, which is one that looks like it's in the Halo 2 level High Charity.
It kind of is, yeah.
Sandwich, this is the one based on sand.
Yeah, that's actually uh, based in part of the area of the sand trap map that is now in Big Team Battle.
Nice.
Freak Show and I looked at that map, and I'm like, hey, I know exactly what this is.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it
that's kind of
looks
interesting.
yeah, it looks really cool.
When we looked at that map several weeks ago, the floor was actually not smooth.
Hmm.
So you'd be running along, and all of a sudden you'd hit like a piece of sand dune, and you would just pop up. So it made kind of an interesting playing
Hmm.
field, I guess you could. No, not even that, but it was interesting, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like that.
Gotcha. I hope it isn't either. It looks like there's some like dirt that's coming up, but hopefully it's coming up out of the ground. But it looks like it. I hope it's more level.
Right. It was affecting the field of play, I guess you could say, for technical terms.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
So I hope they got that fixed because I know for a fact that the maps that were going to be considered for matchmaking were going to be like advanced into another stage, and they were going to be tweaked. One of
Hmm.
the community cartographers was going to tweak them and change them up so they
I
were
would hope so.
right.
Because I
So
remember you
yeah,
guys said there was a bunch of problems with them.
yeah.
So Next up is the Arbiter's Court. It's got pixel art Arbiter, and that's about all it shows. The rest of the court looks like it's a blue and purple tint to match the skin color of the Arbiter.
Right. That's actually a cool map. I believe that's one of the Knockyards.
Oh, okay. No, it's not. It says Arbiter's Court by Gus BR.
Really? Well
Yeah.
done.
Inspired by someone's ascendance, but it's not even him. So, anyways, Underpass is the next one and the last one actually, where there's like a big bridge going over it. It looks like it's more in an urban type area. So, looks kind of cool. I hope that Underpass doesn't get in the way if you're like going really high in the air with the ball.
It again, this was another one the freak show and I looked at. I'm noticing a pattern here. Um, you yourself couldn't get high enough to hit it, but you could throw the ball
And hit it.
and hit the bridge. You wouldn't get stuck; it would just bounce on it.
Got
So
you.
if you threw it up and you hit the bridge instead of going all the way across the court to maybe that person that was wide open on the plant, if you hit the bridge, you would just hit it and then just bounce down like halfway to them. So
That could be an issue.
I hope that's not an issue, but
They might raise the ceiling up on it, so who knows.
that's really all I would do. Yeah.
And then the last thing is the play of the week, which I did not at all watch. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, they don't really explain it very well. They kind of get you the way a journalist does, where it's like you won't guess what happens next. So I'm not gonna try to
Clickbait.
guess what happens next.
Hashtag clickbait.
But, all right, so we have hit the hour mark, and we need to now discuss the big part of this podcast.
Oh, this is gonna. Well,
We'll probably end up going a little longer than just as long as last time. Unfortunately, it happens. We just get talking, and
we gotta fix that,
we
or do we? I don't know.
I don't know. I think
Not
it's
really.
fine. We'll see.
Not really.
Anyways, the April update for Bungie. This was finally spoiled to us what was going to be coming, at least in some terms, and they covered. They were covered in three little bursts. We talked about it last week, where each Wednesday they're going to cover something new. This week or this past Wednesday, they covered new
New
challenges.
things, new things to do.
Yeah, new things to do is basically what it was. And there is a whole bunch. We're going to do cliff notes real quick and then get into each little bit. That way you know what we're going to be talking about.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can I read these off? Can I read these off?
Yes, yes, you can.
All right. If you didn't catch the stream, the April update arrives on April 12th, 2016, compared to April of 2017. Whatever. New content will be available to players of Destiny: The Taken King. Meaning, if you purchase The Taken King or somehow have it through means I will not question,
Gifted.
gifted.
That's what I would say.
You will have it. I don't know what it means for people that don't have The Taken King. I guess it'd be like, right now you can only play so much of the game. So
You can only get to level 34.
right. Obviously the king is dead, but the Taken War rages on in our solar system. Totally not a spoiler, by the way. Our good old pal Varix the Loyal has renewed call to arms to battle Taken foes. Guardians will face new challenges through new quests, bounties, and strikes. Maximum light is being raised from 320 to 335, with many new ways to level up. Prison of Elders has a new level 41 mode to empower you to reach 320. Challenge of Elders is a new level 42 scored mode. Scored mode. All right, that's interesting. The way they word that. Scored mode to empower you to reach 335. Players who achieve high and cumulative scores are guaranteed weapons and armor. Challenge of Elders rewards have up to 335 light, depending on your power. Meaning, I'm assuming that means based on your level. So, the higher level you are, the better chance you'll have of getting something closer towards 335. Whoops, wrong way. Not mentioned on stream, but also totally true, dude. King's Fall will drop rewards up to 330, meaning normal mode King's Fall raid is now 310.
320.
No, normal mode right now currently.
Yeah.
310. No, it's not. It's,
normal's like 290.
Yeah, 290. So it's going from 290 up to 310, considering the new light level is 335. Hard mode is currently at 310. As you get towards the end of the raid, the enemies are 320 and all that stuff. But Going forward now after the April update, those will be hard mode will go from 310 to 320, I think. That's what it is.
I think so.
Wait a minute. When I just open up this other window, it explains it to me. Haha. I'm smart.
Must say
Nope.
the
Doesn't.
the drops will be 320 and normal and 330
330 in hard mode,
and
basically.
hard,
Yeah.
and then they also mentioned the Court of Oryx artifact drops are increased to 335.
Yeah. Yeah. Court of Oryx will drop artifacts now up to 335. And sometimes Deej forgets to ask him the most important questions. All right. We'll let you go with that one. Frantic mentioned earlier that people on the Bungie forums were all up in arms about the Prison of Elders having checkpoints and then not having checkpoints. Prison of Elders will not have checkpoints, which is basically the way it works now. You have to go from start to finish. Otherwise, if you quit out at like round 3, you cannot go back in at round 3. You have to go back to the beginning. So that's not changing from now.
Mm-hmm.
What they do mean by checkpoints, I'm assuming, is like if you die, you go back to the start of the current round that you're in. So if you are near the end of round 3, but you die at the end of it and everyone wipes, you go back to the start of round 3. That, I think, is what they meant more so by checkpoints,
Yeah.
not, oh, I can get here and then quit for the night and then go back and pick up from there.
Yeah. And their reasoning for not allowing that, what I saw in the post where people were complaining, what's his name? His name starts with a C. There's a community person who responded. He basically said
Cosmo.
there is a Cosmo. I thought it was Cosmo.
Cosmo. Yeah.
He responded by saying that it's actually much more forgiving than the Skull Laws Prison of Elders, so it should be easier in theory than that one.
Right, because the challenge mode, the level 42 one that I mentioned earlier, they said that a lot of their internal playtests were averaging roughly 30 to 35 minutes for completion. So
Which isn't too terrible. The King's Fall raid took us, what, like 6 hours?
over like 3 days, yeah,
Yeah. So this is much more
much more.
attractive.
And friggin' Skolas back in the early days when the level cap was 34 took us about 6 hours.
Which is just ridiculous. That's too much
It
time to
is.
sit down and play, I think. And we
Right,
discussed this before, like we were mentioning it. Yumi and Freak Show had a discussion where it was just like it shouldn't take that long.
right.
Uh, and then there's still more in terms of stuff that's coming as well. The Blighted Chalice quest
It's actually a new strike.
or strike. That's what I meant.
Yep. You will be fighting Malak, which one thing we spent, what was it, last week doing?
I think so.
Was farming for the pulse rifle that can drop off of the Omnigul strike. Uh,
Yeah, we did that last week.
yeah, so it's a pulse rifle that is basically a newer version and reskinned of an old weapon from the Crota's End raid. Um, that weapon being the Oversoul Edict. The biggest difference is it doesn't have the arc damage like the Oversoul does. But here we've been calling it the Grasp of Malak, and apparently now it's Malak, so whoops.
Yeah, not at all Malak. It
I
should be
I'm
Malak.
gonna say both, so it's not gonna
Yeah, I
matter.
should probably honor how they want us to say it, but at the same time, it just seems really odd.
To change it now all of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah, and then our good friend the Archbishop.
Yes. They are coming back with the Winter's Run strike. It's going to be Taken version of it. What they do now currently is through most of the strikes we have now is the Taken are replaced for some of the normal enemies you would find. For example, during the one was it the Velis to Arc strike,
Yeah,
you get halfway through the strike and you have to fight one of the Cabal land tanks. Well, if you get the Taken version of the strike, you fight a Taken champion instead there in that area of the tank.
it's a Gate Lord, isn't it?
It's like a Gate Lord, yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's cloaked and it's annoying.
yeah, just tethers for days. But they're kind of doing that with this one, it sounds like to me, but they're making it entirely a Taken version.
Yeah, that's what
The arch
I'm picking up.
Yeah, the Archbishop himself is even going to be taken. They warned
Yep.
us about new abilities that he's going to have, so I'm kind of interested to see what those are about.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Also, we call him the Archbishop for many reasons, but his name—he's actually an Archon priest. Is if you haven't get picked up on that. Uh,
Archbishop.
I just always called him the Archbishop when I first started playing, and it kind of stuck. So that's what we call him.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
And that's I think that covers about everything in the terms of cliff notes
Right.
for this so far. Scrolling up and down here to see if I find anything else.
All right.
And
The other
yeah,
thing to note, totally unrelated. Iron Banner starts this Tuesday.
yes, Iron Banner is this Tuesday. I'm excited for that. I didn't participate in the last Iron Banner. I forget why. No, I remember why because I just kept getting disconnected.
That's why.
So hopefully I'll be able to actually do that this time around. But that is coming, like he said, on Tuesday. Uh, and this is in April
2 in the
12th.
afternoon
Yeah,
Eastern.
yep, I think that's when it starts. Or is it
Yep.
1 like Trials?
Well, it says 10 a.m. Pacific.
That'd be
It'd
1
be one for
Eastern.
you. One for one Eastern.
1 Eastern for us on the Eastern Coast and time zone. I'm not on the East Coast, but I'm in the Eastern time zone.
But
So,
it runs from Tuesday, March 29th at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, to Tuesday, April 5th at 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific.
hmm so yeah, get your Iron Banner challenges and
Hand
rank
cannon.
up.
Yep.
You
You
want
can
your
buy a
hand cannon?
hand cannon.
What? Yeah, what are the rewards? Last time it was the sniper and the I think it was the rocket.
It's the hand cannon and machine gun now. Let me scroll down here a little bit to find the rewards. Um, at rank 3, you can buy the chess pieces. This is when you hit reputation rank for completing bounties and winning matches and that. Um, at rank 3, you can purchase the chess pieces for the Hunter, Titan, and Warlock. At rank 4, you can buy the hand cannon, the gauntlets, and if you're on the PlayStation, you can buy those PlayStation exclusive gauntlets at rank 4. At rank 5, you get the machine gun. And that is stuff you can buy from Lord Saladin, or Salad Bar if you're a cool Destiny kid. As post game drops, these will be upon completing a match. They have a chance to drop in the post game reward screen. When you hit rank 2, chess pieces will start dropping. Rank 3, the hand cannon, gauntlets, and PlayStation exclusive gauntlets, if you're over on that side, will drop. And when you hit rank 4, the machine gun will launch. Drop.
I was about to say launch. What?
I mean,
Just come flying across the screen. You got it. Woo!
might as well.
Yep. So yeah,
As for
get your
the
Iron Banner
reward
in.
packages, when you hit rank, what is it, 3 and 5? I don't know what those are yet. We'll just
Yeah.
have to find out, I guess.
Let's say they don't normally list it, do they?
Not normally, no.
Okay. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you all in the Iron Banner if you're there. Maybe not. If you're really good at the game, I don't want to meet you there. I'd prefer to win. Well, anyways, so yeah, the April update. All this stuff seems to be. It's going to make it more fun, I think. Something we had discussed the other night with Freak Show was that we didn't like how the only way to get max level was to play through the King's Fall raid, and we all were kind of in agreement that we didn't necessarily like the King's Fall raid. Like there were parts of it we liked, and there were parts we definitely didn't like. But I think what
Right,
we all agreed on was it was just way too long,
right.
and that was just like I said. The I've only ever done it twice, and I didn't even finish it the second time. And the amount of time I've spent doing it is easily 10 to 12 hours, and I've beaten it once. And
Right.
some people would argue, oh, replayability and challenge and all this stuff. I mean, to me, that's just way too much time, especially if you have to do it multiple times to get the highest level stuff. That's just way too much of my time that I don't want to dedicate to it. And so, with this new Prison of Elders update where they're going to let you get, it seems like they'll let you get to a higher level faster. You should. It'll take a lot less time. They said the average time was what, like 35 minutes.
From their internal playtest, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows how, that might change depending on how it comes out
I mean,
after they're done,
it's
but
not
I
six
don't,
hours.
yeah, it's not
That
6
is,
hours, so I don't care.
even if it takes only an
Also,
hour, I feel like it would be way better.
yeah, it also depends on your own personal skill, I would assume,
I
How quickly can you kill everything?
I would like to think that the people testing are probably about average to a little better than average, which is where I think I stand. So I would say, yeah, it's probably going to take 30, 40 minutes, 45, maybe an hour if we're really having an off night, you know. That's how I
Right.
think it'll happen.
Yeah. Because the way the challenge mode, the new level 42 Prison of Elders works is it's 3 boss rounds, meaning you fight it's 3 rounds total, and you fight one boss each of those 3 rounds. It's basically, think of the way the current Prison of Elders is now, but you're always playing that 5th round. Uh, and you have to earn, well, you don't have to earn points, I guess, because they never said about it, but um, in order to get access to the level 42 version, you have to buy a sigil of the elders, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, that sounds
um,
right.
think of it as like a trials passage um, that you buy every weekend to go play the Trials of Osiris.
Hmm.
Only, you're not eliminated from it after 3 deaths or whatever, anything like that. Basically, you have a high score and a cumulative score. Your high score is single game total. Um, so, like, if you, Freak Show, and I, or whoever, partied up and went and played,
Hmm.
that if we got 30,000 points in one run through of those 3 rounds, we would get the high score. The cumulative score is like 90,000 points, was their example they had during their live stream. I
Hmm.
don't know if that'll change or not, but it's tied to you, your player, your character,
And only you.
um, and only you. But if, say, you, Freak Show, and I would get the 30,000 points, and then you went and played with Freak Show and Grunt Dad, or someone else, maybe another friend, or someone would play with a different group.
Yeah.
That score that you earned from that match would go and count towards that cumulative score.
Hmm.
I'm thinking the way it's going to work is you hit the high score and cumulative score. That's how you get your end game, your new end game gear.
Yeah, that seems to me it's exactly what I thought.
So that's pretty much a simple way it would work. But let's see what else. In terms of points, gaining points, it doesn't look to be too difficult. Um, every kill in the round has like a base point value,
Hmm.
and they have modifiers for that week. Uh, Kind of like how they do for each round now, the challenge modes, where you have 1 week to complete this, and like round 3 has primary weapon damage is favored or whatever. Um, but these are like score modifiers. So during their live stream, they had a modifier active where you gained bonus points for precision kills. So an average kill could be worth like 100 points, but maybe say you got 125 points for it because
Hmm.
you got a precision kill.
Right. And so, like we
And
were saying, the goal is to use your modifiers. Well, try to
right,
use them to your advantage. Maybe there's negative ones. I don't know to
uh,
get these
so
high
far the
scores.
so far the only negative thing that takes away points is if you don't kill the boss within a certain time. I think they mentioned like 5 minutes, but that doesn't sound right to me. Um, you start slowly losing points from Varix because he's getting impatient, a little jerk, anyhow. So it's kind of a nice combination of making sure you kill everything to get your points, but do it quick enough to where you're not, getting points taken away and basically trudging forward towards your
Yeah.
ultimate goal. Also, one thing to note is the points multiply
Hmm.
per round. So, like, if you're getting 125 points for a precision kill in round 1, that could be like up to 200 points, maybe, or 175 points, whatever, by the third round.
So the score gets higher as you go through the
Yeah,
rounds. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. And I'm really excited for this. I told Grunt the other night that I really enjoy Prison of Elders and Firefight-esque type things, like he just as much as he does, where I find a lot of replayability in them. Surprisingly
right,
enough.
right.
Like I can play through the strikes pretty often, but I kind of get tired of them after a certain point in time. But I haven't really gotten tired of the Prison of Elders and the amount of times that we've done it so far. And like I said earlier, we've been doing hilarious challenges in them just to make it even more fun. because it's way
And
too easy if we just go through like we normally would.
right. So
And
yeah,
those lower level ones will still be available, by the way, if you were wanting to do those.
oh
They're
yeah,
gonna this new portion of it in the Vestian Outpost, how there's like the little uh, parts that branch off from the outpost. This is going to be the bottom right branch, so the top right will still be the level 28 to 35 Prison of Elders,
right.
and this will be the new level 42 or whatever, or 40 to 42 or whatever they're going to set it at.
41. They're introducing two versions of it. 41 is going to work like your 28 now, so it'll have matchmaking,
Yeah.
and it'll be I think just a random mashup of rounds and enemies.
Okay.
And I'm assuming it's sticking to the 5 round um, status quo or whatever the 5 round
Yeah.
system that they have now.
I
I
figure
don't
it's
think.
just 28 at level 41 or
Yeah,
whatever with the same bosses and stuff, or not the same, but
right.
the updated bosses.
Yeah. And then the level 42 is going to be you have to bring in your own fire team. There's no matchmaking for that.
Right. But you
Um,
can still get really good drops from the 41 as well, right?
right. Sounds like it because they're doing away with the treasure keys.
Yeah, that's another thing. You had to use treasure keys, which aren't necessarily as easy to obtain now as they were back in House of Wolves. But they're getting rid of them to where at this point you just get them out of the chest. No matter you just get stuff out of the chest either way.
Right.
Which I'm going to
So,
assume means you're probably going to have a lower rate of getting pretty awesome stuff, but you'll still get good stuff.
oh yeah, I'm assuming most of it is going to be. I'm really hoping since they're upping the light level, a lot of their base drops are going to increase as well.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Maybe instead of having a blue engram drop at max 300, maybe have it drop to 310 now,
Or even 320.
or 320, because you still want that focus to play the new challenge mode for to get your end game level,
Hmm.
but you have to have a way to work up to it. And how else are you going to do that if you don't
Right.
give people infusion fuel or new gear even?
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
I
that's
don't
that's
know.
the majority of the update, pretty much. I mean, that's the main thing to cover. I mean, everything else at this point just seems,
Right.
I don't want to say
There's
redundant, but there's not too much else to talk
Yeah.
about. But I'm not trying to end
There
it. I'm just saying, like,
Well, I mean, we are nearing the end of it, so
true. I'm just want
you're
to make
completely
sure.
right.
Ugh.
But they are introducing, I think, 8 new bosses into the Prison of Elders. At least the new versions, the 2 new versions. So
Hmm.
I think what we did the math, and it's going to be like 8 weeks. Well, yeah, it would be 8 weeks. 8 weeks worth of new content, basically.
Hmm.
So,
And if you didn't get to play one of those weeks, there's an extra week for you.
yeah. So it's what to me as mostly a PVE player, it's what Destiny needed.
Yeah, I definitely like this in terms because I see myself as 90% PvE, 10% PvP, where I can do PvP and I can enjoy it sometimes, but for the most part, I'd much rather do PvE.
All right,
This is a very good addition. Firefight is one of those things that I really enjoyed in the old Halo games, just like you did, and it was something that
right,
I could find myself playing if I didn't have anyone else to play with.
right.
And since they're doing the matchmaking, I could definitely do it if you guys are busy or something. It's all around a good move in my mind, bringing the Prison of Elders back. Because I know there on the subreddit for Destiny, I noticed a lot of people were talking about how they wanted it to be relevant in some manner, and I think this makes sense. We defeated Oryx, and now all of his armies are getting captured or killed, and they're in the prison now. That
I
all
still
makes
want to.
sense.
I still want to know why Varix thought it was a good idea to imprison the Taken. Come on, don't do that.
Maybe he just wants to see how much he can imprison, and maybe he's a villain later on. Who knows?
Ooh, conspiracy.
Ooh. So yeah, that'll be coming April 12th. I think we're all really excited for it because it'll give us something new to strive for and potentially an easier way to get to 335 light because I have yet to get over 310 in total light. I can get to 308. That is as high as I've gotten.
I
So
get to 309. That's as high as I can go.
yeah, and I know Freak Show 311 is the highest I've seen him at. So we have yet to hit 320, and we will not hit it until we are able to hit it through this update. I'm pretty sure.
That's yep,
Which
yep,
I mean I'm fine with. It's whatever.
yep.
So all right, I think that just about covers everything that we want to discuss. Is there anything else you want to add on about this update before we head out for the day?
Well, next week we will definitely be talking more about Destiny because they'll have the new things to earn stream next Wednesday.
Yep, and won't they be covering the Crucible in that one?
That will be Wednesday, April 6th. That'll be like
Uh,
a week after. It would
yeah,
be a week after.
okay. And in that update, we really hope that they remove icebreakers and the ability off of the invective and other similar things that regenerate ammo in 3v3.
I feel
And
like
the
we're beating a
sidearm glitch.
feel like we're beating a dead horse with that subject, but it's true.
We really are, but it needs to happen. And maybe they'll nerf the last word ever so slightly. Who knows? Who knows?
No, no, don't go full cowboy.
Don't go full cowboy. Remember that. All right, let's get the advertising out of the way. Earlier in the stream, I did mention it. We're on Twitter at frantic_talks is our official Twitter account. We tweet about our articles and podcast when it goes live. You can find me at FranticJ3. You can find him at Onyx Spartan. ONYX is how you spell Onyx. If that fails, you can go to facebook.com/frantic talks. That is all one word. If that fails, you can also try our main website, frantictalks.com, or magic.frantictalks.com if you want to learn about Magic the Gathering or hilarious things that we do in that. And then if you can't find that and you want to somehow find this podcast, even though you're already listening to it, you can go to iTunes and search Frantic Talks. That's not all one word, that's two words. You'll probably find it. It'll be like the only one there. And then we
All I
have
had,
a.
all,
What?
when I looked for it, all I had to do was just search frantic, and it was a suggestion.
There you go.
Suggestion.
And then the last thing is we have a YouTube channel that haven't really uploaded anything besides these podcasts for the past couple of weeks for reasons unspoken. And there's no URL for it unless we get 100 subscribers. So if you want an ease of access to that, either subscribe or copy the URL. It's easier to subscribe, I promise.
It is. It really is.
So that's all of our outlets of stuff we do, and maybe we'll run into you in the Iron Banner.
Oh,
I have a happy Easter tomorrow if anyone is celebrating that. If not, have a happy Sunday where a lot of stuff's closed. And I will see you guys next Saturday here on twitch.tv/franticj3 the third, which is the number 3RD. I found out someone didn't quite know how to pronounce that on a stream a couple days ago. Not get into that. The third or some shit. I don't even
the
remember what it was.
frantic J13. The at one point you were frantic J. You were frantic G13.
Oh, that's even
So,
better. I'm Frantic G. Sub G.
uh,
Yeah. So, anyways, I think about wraps it up. Like I said, every Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here. So, hopefully, you guys can catch on. Say hi in the chat. Get some shout outs, and hopefully, we'll see you then. So, I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
We'll see you next time, guys.